Hey guys, happy Thursday and welcome to Morning Joe with me, Jim. And yesterday I talked about the growing number of foreclosures, right? They're up 150% year over year, but that's after a foreclosure moratorium where there weren't very many, hardly any. Um, and I get a lot of feedback from that. I got a lot of messages, a couple phone calls, people saying, hey, that really kind of put it in perspective. I can breathe. Let's go. And so, and that's what data is supposed to do, right? If we inform ourselves with real data, then we can make a good decision. So I found this morning, and it's kind of building on the same thing we did yesterday, right? Except it's three more data points about housing. I really like it, and I wanted to share this with you. Three graphs to show that housing isn't, the show there isn't a housing bubble. Now, this, okay. So the first graph is very simple. Supply and demand, right? That's what has been driving housing largely, also low interest rates, but largely supply and demand has been driving this massive hysteria in housing over the last couple of years that now is evening out, right? But look at what evening out means. It means the supply versus demand. We have a 3-month supply. We're not quite back to where we were in 2020. We really need to get back to a more balanced market where we were in 2017, 18, 19. That sort of era, right? We need a little bit more inventory to meet the demand. We need more supply to meet demand. Let's just put it that way. Use the same terminology. Now, the second thing is when the crash happened, look at the numbers here at housing inventory versus demand back in, I can't even read that, 2007, 8, 9. The other thing that happened back then is so many people got into the housing game with no money out of pocket, with no skin in the game. So now it's completely opposite, right? Mortgage standards are as tight as ever. And so back then, if something went wrong, if they had trouble making a payment, it was less costly to them to just walk away, to many people, than it was to try and hold on to that home. The opposite is true now, right? And lending standards are tightening. We talked, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I talked about Fannie Mae had come out and said, hey, we're tightening our standards for automated underwriting even more. And what I've seen there, because they don't really define what tightening means, they just say it's tightening. What I've seen practically is a lot of times when we were getting approvals for someone just because everything fit, now we're not until they have 1 or 2 months reserves. And reserves are just whatever that monthly payment's going to be sitting in the bank that you don't bring to closing, right? You got a little bit more money in the bank. I am seeing it tightening even more. So lending standards are tightening. And foreclosure activity then and now. This is what I talked about yesterday, right? We said foreclosures are up 150%. Well, up from what? From 2021, which was, the lowest year on record ever, I think. I haven't gone back to look at really ever, but for a long, long time. It looks nothing like this, right? Oh, I didn't know I could do that. It looks nothing like, 2008, 9, 10. Not even close. It looks minuscule. Yeah, it's up year over year because there was a foreclosure moratorium. But how much is it up? It's not. It's a blip, right? So I hope that helps, and it helps put it in perspective. So if you're looking at getting into the housing market and you're reading headlines, they're like, "Oh, maybe a housing bubble." Maybe I saw a video someone posted yesterday, a YouTube video. It's like I can't even repeat it. It was so dumb. It was housing's going to crash, and then we're all going to do drugs, and then we're going to all commit suicide. I had to laugh. I'm like, what? Even anyway, if it bleeds, it leads, right? I get it, but there's a limit. And the limit comes by really just informing yourself. What does it really look like? What's the landscape really look like? And then making an informed decision. And that's what these graphs do, and what I really like about them. Because if there is a housing crash coming, I want to know about it first, because I make my living in this industry. There's not. And so all the data points to, yeah, we may be going into a recession, but remember, housing does well in a recession all except the 2008 one, which was led by housing. In every other recession, housing prices go up during a recession, and it kind of makes sense. We can talk about that later if you want, or you can go back and scroll through and see a video that I did on that. Have a great Thursday, and if I can help with a pre-approval and getting the process started, that's what we're here for, and we're good at it. So I'd love to do that.